Right, so we have everything set up and let's get started with our project. And the first thing we're going to design is our sign up and login screen. So I'm going to show you how it's going to look so you have an idea what we are going to design. This is our login screen, which has two fields for email and password, and two buttons here on top, which is the forgot password and login. And in case if you don't have an account, at the bottom here says sign up. By clicking, it brings another view with another title, and this is the user profile information we need from the user. And once all of these are filled, which are just text fields here, and a register button, and once these are filled, you just click register and it's going to do the registration. If I click now, it says all the fields are required, which is just an error message. Otherwise, we can dismiss this by just pulling down or clicking on this back button, or you can just click login and it will disappear. So let's start from the first screen, which is our login screen. And as you can see, we have a background and some views on top. This is a text, which are label. This is text field, as are just lines are views, and these are buttons. So let's start with the background, which is an image view. So I'm going to search for image view and just drag one out. Now it's going to be full screen, so make sure you drag all the way. And I'm using these blue guidelines to help me set up my view. And for us to make these auto layout constraints is quite simple. We just need to pin on top, left, right, and bottom. So by clicking this button at the bottom, and we can just tap these constraints that we need. Also, you can give a number. 0 means these are touching the super view borders. We are going to add these 4 constraints and just click add constraints. And you can see now this has all blue guidelines. And if we open our measurements here on the right side panel, you can see that we have these 4 constraints, and by scrolling on top of them, it's actually showing on which constraint this is by highlighting it on the interface builder. So we have this image, but so far we don't have our assets. So let's start by dragging all the assets. You will be able to download these assets from this lecture. So I'm going to open this dating assets folder. As you can see, you have a lot of things here. I'm just going to Command A to select all, and I'm going to drop them here. Now let's get back this to our standard view size, and let's go through it to see what we have. So we have attachment, avatar. This is a back button we're going to use, sign in button, a camera button. This is camera icon we're going to use for messages, completion icon, which once our user has scrolled all the possible users, we're going to show this. This is a dislike button. Then I have here some dummy users, which we are going to create so we can see who we can like or dislike. These pictures are just from Google. Just type portrait images. I got the first few of them. I have 15 user images. So then we have this edit button. We have placeholder for avatars in case if the user doesn't set up an avatar. We have F placeholder, which is female avatar, and then we have M placeholder, which is a male avatar there. And we have another button, keep swiping, like button. And this is the login background we are actually interested in. As you can see, we have all 3 sizes. So what we need to do now is to take this image and put it in our image view here. So by selecting the image view, which we need in our main storyboard, on the right side panel here, if you select these new designed icons from Apple for iOS 14, this is attributes inspector icon. And on top, the first thing you will see once you have selected your image view is the image. So here I'm going to put my image, which is called login background. Just double tap it and you can see the image appears here. So we have our background now, and the next thing we need to do is to put the rest of the user UI elements. So login and some of the other buttons there. So let's grab a label. I'm going to put it here. It's quite small now, but we're going to enlarge it. And also we are going to change the color, because our application is not going to support dark and light mode. It's going to have its own standard colors, so it doesn't matter what mode user has selected, our application will look always the same. So let's set the color to be always white. Otherwise, it will be black or white depending on the user's theme selection. So I'm going to choose this white color from here. And then I'm going to change the font here. Currently we have system 17. I'm going to change it to be not system. Let's go to custom. And then you can choose the family. And I want to choose Anywhere Book. Choose the Anywhere, and then the style is book, and also we can choose the size. I'm going to make this quite bigger, let's say 35. This looks good. Then you can select your label, command equals, and it will enlarge your label to fill the size of the new size that you have used for your text. Then I'm going to enlarge label from left to right. Remember, we are using blue guidelines, and also we can align the text in the middle. And let's call this login. Right. Now we have this. The next thing is to add our other parts. So let's just copy this. Command C, Command V. And of course we need to make this email address smaller because it's not a title. So I can put it something like 20 points. And also we can change the alignment to be left, command equals to make the label smaller. And then we adjust it again to be using our blue guidelines. It's gonna be our email. Let's copy this and paste again. I'm going to put it somewhere here and call this password. Okay, and the next thing, we need 2 text fields. So let's search for it. These text fields will be used to put our username, the email address, and the password. So the first one is here, and I'm going to put a placeholder. And the placeholder is going to be email. And let's copy and paste this under our password. And this one gonna be password. Okay, so we have this set up, but as you can see here, our text fields here are transparent and don't have any borders, which look really nice on the design. So in order to do that, you can select the text fields, and then here you can just put the border to transparent. And see, currently the issue is, once we do this with our current background, you can no longer see this placeholder text, because if I zoom in, you will see that these are light gray color, and since we are using currently the light theme, these are the colors we are going to see. But we are going to write in the code and force it to always be like dark mode, so that this will be a white text instead of light gray. Also, I think we can choose from here the style. Yeah, from Xcode 14 you can choose a theme in interface builder as well. So you can see how it's gonna look when we force it to be a dark mode all the time. So I'm going to keep it this way so we can see our text. And the next thing we need to do is to put these lines. So these are just UI views. I'm going to get a view because there is almost everything has view inside. You don't get search help here. We just grab the view. I'm going to put it here. Let's change the color to be white, and the width we are going to put dynamic with our constraints to equal our screen width, and the height, I think I'm using 2 points. Yes, so let's change it to 2 points. Okay, the width we just put it to be with our blue guidelines, and the height you can change here from measurements. Instead of 21, I'm going to put, let's say 5 for now, because it's easier to grab it and move around. And once we position it where we need it, let me just close this left panel here. Once we position where we need it, we can change the size to be 2. And we have nice line there. I'm just going to copy and paste this and move it down where our other line should be. So as you can see, we have this top area. Let's grab a button and put the forgot password and also a login. We just search UI, or I think it's just called button. Drag it out, put somewhere here, make it all the way open. And let's change the title instead of button to be forgot password. Question mark. And also I'm going to align this to be left. And let's change the text color from default to be white color. Right, actually I think it's better to make it smaller, like our button size here. So in case the user by default mistake type clicks here, we don't want to reset the password. And then I'm going to just copy and paste this one more time. Let's put it somewhere in the middle. And alignment of this can be in the middle. And instead of the text, we're going to get rid of it. I'm going to put an image. So you can see an image parameter here. And this is called login. Let me see. I think it's going to sign up. Yeah, this is the one. So it's called sign in button. And you can use it, the blue guidelines, to put it actually if you want to align it in the middle. And then we just want to put it a bit below the password button. Actually, another thing I'm going to do is to change the simulator we are seeing here. I'm going to put it on iPhone 11 Pro, which is a little bit smaller. And the reason I'm doing this is because I'm working on a MacBook Pro 13-inch, and as you can understand, there is not a lot of screen real estate to play around with. So we have all the views here set up. And now what we want to do is, if I run the application, actually, you will be able to see maybe some of it, because we don't have our auto layout constraints set. How this will be all over the place, especially now that I changed the size of my iPhone screen. You can see this, everything is left out of the view a little bit. But still, we have almost everything in the place. So what we are going to do now is to set up auto layout constraints. I'm going to start from top. Let's move this login a little bit higher, so we have a lot of space to work. And actually I'm going to select everything and move them up using arrow keys up and down. I'm going to select my login button, and at the bottom here we have this alignment, and I can set it to horizontally and vertically to be in the middle of my view. And by adding these two constraints, it will move my button exactly in the middle of the screen, no matter what is the screen size. You can see we have all blue guidelines now. And another constraint we need to set here is the top login. So you can choose the constraint button here, and let's add 20 points from top and 18 points from left and right, and you can keep also the height 48 points. I'm going to add 4 constraints and it sticks on the top. The other label goes our email. Let's just resize all these together. All right, and let's move our email like 20 points under our login, and then we have 16 and 16 on both sides. Let's click add 3 constraints. You can see it jumps where we asked it to be. And moving my email text field up, now we can add the constraints for this. Let's have it 7 point on top and 16 point on each side. And I'm going to keep the height on 34. Just add all these. And finally, we need to move this UI view. And let's add the constraints for this one. Let's give it a 7 point on top and 0 on each side. It should be good. And the height, we want to stick it to 2. So make sure we add that as well. Right, we have done the first part. Let's quickly move everything up for the password section. And we also need to change the sizes here because I switched my interface builder from iPhone 11 to iPhone 11 Pro. Right, so password, let's put it like 20 points and 16 and 16 from left and right, like we did with the previous one. The text field again, 16 on each side, and also the height. I forgot how much is the top. Let's just quickly check. So we have the same number. At the top is 7, so I'm going to use the same number here. And the line here at the top, we used again 7. If you are having hard time selecting these views, you can do also on the left panel. So again, adding the constraints, 7 on the top, 0 on the sides, and add these constraints. Let's see why is it complaining? This one knows where it is. This one, trailing, leading, top. Okay, we need to set also the height 2 points. You see, when it was red, it means it's missing some constraints. It didn't know where it's gonna be on a runtime. That's why it was red. Now the forgot password button, I'm going to put somewhere here and just let's put it maybe 20 points from the line, and let's put 20 points from the left, and the width I'm going to stick with 160. So we had 3 constraints and it stays there. So right now our view is set up. Every button will be in its place no matter on which size we use. Let's just quickly run to see how it works. This is iPhone 11 Pro. And now even if I switch here to a different iPhone simulator, you will see that everything stays as it is because now we have set up our auto layout constraints. All right, and the last thing we need to do is to add the bottom part here. So we need a label and a button. I'm going to get a button and a label. Okay, so the label says don't have an account, you can sign up. So let's change the text. And the button, we position it. You can see I'm using blue guidelines to align the center of the button and the center of the label together. And the button gonna be sign up. And I want to put this on the left, and the label gonna be aligned on the right side, so they are always close to each other. And let's see, now we want to put this in the middle, more or less. So it's quite hard to put these two in the middle. What we can do is just move this one on the side. Let's bring this as much as we can to middle, and let's add some constraints. It's gonna be 20 points, and let's put 10 points from the bottom. Another constraints I need is the width. Let's stick it with the current width, and let's put for the sign up button. Let me quickly check the measurements we have here. I'm gonna do it 81 width and 30 points height. So let's add our constraints. So it's gonna be, let's put some number here. Actually, what we can do is control drag to the other view next to it, and we can put horizontal spacing, so it knows some space in between them. Then I'm going to add the width and height constraints, and also I want to set them, they are let's see, center vertically, so they have both on the same center line. Because if I was going to add bottom constraint like we did with the label, then I'm going to need 5.33 right now, while for the label, remember we had let's see, it's a 10 point. So if I was going to put 10 points for my sign up button, it wasn't going to be exactly centered, and it would be out of the side. So we have our user interface for login button, login view set up. In the next lecture, we are going to do the same thing for our sign up view. For the next lecture, I'm going to move a little bit faster since we already get familiar how it is. So we just quickly put the things together and add the constraints.